Hi everyone, welcome to the 90th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Ziaks, and today I'm joined by businessman Oliver Lee.
How's it going, everyone listening at home?
Yeah, what's up? I'd like to shout out episode 31 guest Chen for technical directing once again. So Oliver, you know what we do here, I interview people, I get to know them better, and I'm hyped to get to know you better. So how about you kick things off by telling us a bit about yourself?
Sure, pretty simple. I'm Oliver Lee. I'm from Boston, Mass. I went to Boston Latin School. Now I'm here. I came in as a regular business major. I was in sports management as my concentration. And in the winter this year, I had a change of heart, and so now I'm a film major and a business minor.
Yeah. And we met each other by going to the Sundance Film Festival.
Yeah,
and of course, obviously, yeah. And I introduced you as a businessman. Of course, you're in film, but film is a business. So let me ask you kind of where everything started with business and where your interest in that stems from.
Yeah, so going into sports management, I had the idea of one career being someone's agent. I watched this movie called $1 Million Arm when I was really little. I think it came out in 2014. About an agent who manages two Indian-born pitchers who originally played cricket, and then he turns them into major league pitchers. And this is a real story. I don't think that either of those guys made the major league team, but he signed them to be in the Pirates organization, which no one had ever done before. And so that was a super inspiring story. And since then, I decided that that's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Interesting. I feel like you like Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I think years ago.
Yeah, with Tom Cruise, sports agent, Finding a Heart. So yeah, it's interesting that a movie, ironically, a movie shaping.
Yeah, as I was saying it, I was thinking about that too.
Yeah, a movie shaping you wanting to go into business. I'm curious, do you have any like tips or tricks that you've learned in terms of succeeding in business?
Ooh, that's a good one. The door's never closed. I'd say that. The ability to make an option out of no option. There were times in high school where I thought I was going to go one way, and my path veered in directions that I couldn't have ever predicted. And I'm grateful for all of them because they got me here today. And so I guess openness is a tip I'd give to anyone in business.
Interesting. So kind of just like life in general.
Yeah.
To be open to new opportunities, to be able to adjust and pivot when need be.
And I guess that goes against itself because I didn't expect to leave the business major, but here I am now.
Interesting. And kind of what kind of led you to leaving the business major, since it was something that you studied, you came to school for? Like what exactly, if there was one specific moment that like film really grabbed you?
I'd be naive to say that Sundance wasn't a massive part of that. I got into QFS. I got pretty consistent with QFS. So that's something that we do. Me and Ryan is Quinnipiac Film Society. And the Sundance trip we're talking about is an opportunity. I think you've talked about it before on your podcast.
I've talked about it a ton. So basically, we as a group go to the Sundance Film Festival, Park City, Utah, get to see films, get to see celebrities walking around the street, etc.
So like I was saying, I got consistent with QFS. I realized that that's just what I wanted to do. Couldn't really put it more simple than that. Right. And it's no knock on business or anything like that. That's why I kept the minor. And it's always good to keep a practical aspect of your degree. Not saying that film isn't, but it's a tougher job market than I'd say a business degree is.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
and business gives you a sense because, like I mentioned, film is a business, and being able to navigate that is essential. And I feel like it's a perfect time to get into the Sundance Film Festival trip that we went on. Of course, QFS is Quinnipiac Film Society, a big film club here on campus. So what kind of led you to wanting to go to Sundance in the first place?
I had heard a lot about it from my friends in QFS that went the year before. And they saw a lot of movies much earlier than I did that I had waited sometimes till the summer or the end of the year and to see. And most of them from the previous Sundance were very good.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what led me to wanting to go on the trip and also meeting celebrities. I knew that Edebri was going. We could probably get into that, but she was an alum of my high school. And so that's something I sort of had circled when I was applying.
You read my mind because I was exactly going to ask you about that experience. So if you don't mind telling us about like meeting her at the, if I'm not mistaken, premiere. I know it's hot in here.
Yeah.
At the premiere of her film Opus.
Yeah. So I feel like we're gonna rehash this story for QFS to advertise it, and I feel like I'll just be talking about this for a long time. So I think the first time I was on the subway that I was reading like a list of the Sundance films, and I saw Ayo in the thumbnail for Opus. Just an image of her looking really surprised at something. It was the thumbnail for the movie. And this was before I even knew if I was going to be able to go on the trip. So I applied, and I remember from the application process that there was a question about a fundraiser for QFS, and I thought of a creative idea, which was like a buy and hide and seek tournament in an academic building. And I guess I didn't like that because I did not make the original application window. And now we're flashing forward to winter break, like early January, and I get a text from Michael Rada saying, you have like an hour to reply, because I didn't see their email, but I got off the wait list, so I could go now.
Nice.
So let's jump ahead to when we're back. I was talking to Nick Bonanno, who's been on this podcast, about it would be really like, this is when it's 1 a.m. And we're going to the airport to board the plane to go to Utah. And I told him it'd be really cool to see Ayo Edebri. She was an alum of my school. And I don't think she had reached out to go back to Boston Latin, or I guess connect with them at all. And the premiere of her film, which was, I'd say, the most hyped movie there, was on our last day of being there. So if I didn't get to see the premiere, it was over. And I did get a ticket. And I remember I thought I like even drafted out something if I got called on in the Q&A. And I wore people usually dress up to go to the premieres, and I wore a purple hoodie that says Latin. So she might see it.
Your former high school.
Yes.
Your old high school.
She didn't. The Q&A came and went, and I didn't get called on. And they even called on a guy who asked, like, what's your favorite music? She was wearing a Radiohead shirt. And the guy, they called on him because they looked at him and they're like, you have a burning question, I can tell. And he was like, what's your favorite Radiohead song? I was like, damn it, man. So we went, me and a couple others, Josh Brzezinski, Ian Rosenay, Nick Bonanno, Jack Igo. We went out to the back of the venue, so where celebrities might come out. We waited for like 20 minutes, I'd say. And then I saw her go into her car, and so I just shouted, I'm Latin class of 23, sumus primi. And she looked at it, she was like, what? And so I said it again, and I was like, oh, we went to the same high school, and she ran over. And then we ended up talking for I'd felt like a while. It was probably like 3 minutes. There's a lot of pictures on my Instagram. I could plug that. You can splash it up right now. But that was the last thing that we did, because I got an Uber, and then the next day was our travel day. So it was a real buzzer beater. That's what I called it.
So she recognized like your high school saying. What did you guys talk about?
I had two of the same exact teachers she had my senior year. So that's Mr. Gay for environmental science and Mr. Sullivan for humanities. And actually this year, she did go back and visit the theater program and stuff. And also Boston's Mayor Michelle Wu visited my high school as well. Oh, really? Yeah, that had never happened before. I don't think the previous mayors had visited.
Interesting. Of course, Ayo Edebri, she's in The Bear. The Bear, if I'm not mistaken. And then she was in Opus. And it's funny that you bonded over similar paths in high school. And you got those sick pictures with each other. But she's not the only celebrity you were able to meet. Do you have any other fun stories from around Sundance?
Ooh, yeah. Boots Riley is the next one I think of. Now that's not someone he's not as A-list as like Ayo, I'd say. So I'd say that people would probably know him from directing Sorry to Bother You. And that's really it. I feel like most people will know him from that if they're gonna know him. And he was right out. at like the concession stand of a really boring movie I went to.
Mm.
So credits rolled, I walked right out, and he also had a distinct look. He wore this big hat.
Yeah.
That I remember you told me you recognized him.
Yeah.
From earlier in the fest, but you didn't know it was him.
Yeah, I mean, he's just such a like a majestic looking guy.
Yeah.
Because he has, like you said, like the hat. He has like the mutton chops. He was always like dressed up.
The Buchanan.
Yeah.
Facial hair. The sideburns that go into the mustache.
Yeah. And he's like he's dressed up. He's in this like always in like these flashy suits, and I'm like, this guy has to be someone, but I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until you told me that it was Boots Riley, director of Sorry to Bother You. I'm like, oh my god, like
that was a funny one. He was super cool. I was like, oh, I know your work. Can we get a picture? And he immediately posed like this. Yeah. He's like, yeah, we can do it. He was ready. But my phone was off because I was just in a movie, so I had to stand there for like a minute when he's posed like this.
Yeah.
We had a funny chat. I don't know if we could talk about what we talked about, but
okay.
It was really interesting.
I mean, I'm sure that guy seems like an absolute character, but I'm sure that he was really entertaining, and it's cool that like you were in a movie with a filmmaker, as we all were, and you were able to meet Zoe Maraduena, right? And from Cobra Kai.
I was not. No.
You were not. Okay.
I was not. No. I didn't watch the show either, so I wouldn't have known. But I did see that other people got to meet the Cobra Kai cast.
Yeah. Anyone else that you can recall from meeting at Sundance?
I saw Steven Yeun. I saw Questlove, but his management was not about the pictures.
Yeah, yeah. I was able to catch him too. It was a similar situation.
Mm-hmm. I was right next to Franco.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a while.
Dave Franco.
Dave, thank you. I don't know why the name wasn't coming to me. But yeah, I was right next to him for a while. You got to interview him.
I did, which was amazing.
Yeah. Anyone else? This one's... So I met him before the stuff about him came out, but Murr was super nice.
Yeah.
Maybe you cut that, but...
It wasn't Murr, though. I think it was Joe.
No, it was Murr.
It was
too.
Murr like a month
But
after
I don't think it's your fault for like meeting him.
No. When I met him,
met Oliver and instantly became.
Yeah, I triggered him. I don't know about that. Murr was super nice. Nick Bonanno said, "I think that's Murr." He was just sitting having a coffee, and I said, "I think that's another balding white guy with glasses," and then he was right.
Yeah.
And he shook my hand. He took the photo for me and a group of guys, and yeah, he was off.
Yeah.
Also connected with the Sippy Cup kid. It's funny because I forget his actual name, but he was super nice. If you've seen the movie Good Boys, it's like 6th grade super bad. Came out in 2018. I remember trying to go see it when I was in 8th grade, but getting kicked out because it was rated R.
Yeah.
He was like an 8-year-old bully, and he bullied kids because they couldn't sip beer in 6th grade. And he got out of being like, he was a child actor in that movie. He blew up, and then he got out of the industry, and I talked to him about that in a few lines. Nick Bonanno had known who he was already. Yeah. Which was interesting because I think they had met at the festival the year before.
Oh, okay.
And just recognized each other still.
Interesting.
So got to connect with him. That was really cool. But I think for celebrities, that about recounts it.
Yeah, and then a lot of people we saw walking around, like I remember seeing John Hamm walking around,
cowboy
like
hat.
And the exactly, yeah. It was so crazy. And sorry, another thing I want to ask you about is the Reddit scheme you hatched. I shouldn't say scheme, more so
the strategy.
Strategy is a much better term.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing that with us?
So sure. The tickets for these movies drop and sell out in like 10 seconds. To understand the strategy, you have to understand how they drop. So what I would do is I'd go to the screen that has all the movies and every time, and I control F the word tickets because that's how you know how many movies had tickets available, because if you didn't see the word tickets, and that meant they were sold out or the button was grayed out. It was stagnant at like 100 tickets. 100 times the word tickets appeared, so 100 times you could buy a ticket for a movie. I didn't want to go to most of them, so I was just letting it be stagnant at 100 until I noticed that the number would go up. One point, it was me and like 6 other people in a room refreshing, and I noticed it went from like 115 to like 4 or something. So I knew that everything it came in. That's when I got Opus. That's when I got All That's Left of You, which was an amazing movie. That's when I got Marley Matlin, Not Alone Anymore, which was a popular documentary. But I also got I also overbought. I'd have to just click, get tickets, and then buy them all at the same time or they were going to sell out. Okay. So in doing that, I bought movies that overlapped times, so I had to pick one and get rid of the other one. Or I straight up just didn't want to see it, but I still bought it because I had to panic buy it, I guess you could say. Then Jacob Layton showed me how to go on Reddit and sell these off, and all these tickets would sell for $35, but I would never sell them for $35. I would sell them for like at least $45. And even some people, there's this movie called Andre is an Idiot, and it's a documentary. And I posted that I was looking to sell it, and I had like 16 people text me on Reddit, and I sold it for like $85 to someone who was who worked on the movie, and they couldn't even get a ticket.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a pretty profitable endeavor for me. Yeah. Even though I had to spend a lot of money to get some out, but I left with a good amount of my Venmo from that.
Yeah, because I remember seeing you hustling, because something else that was brought up on here when we were talking about Sundance was the day when all the tickets were dropping and how people were frantic and trying to get their tickets. And I just remember you at your laptop being just like, oh, I sold this ticket on Reddit. And then it was like, you're like turning a profit on these tickets. And you were able to do that by like bringing in all of your business knowledge. Is like, do you have any practical business ways of explaining what you were doing, if that makes sense?
I mean, I was just buying the ticket and I was selling it for a markup of 10. I was just marking up everything I got. And also I talked with someone who was a producer and they said that these usernames also are producers and need tickets. So I knew that those guys would probably pay a little bit more, and I reached out to them and they actually bought some of my stuff too.
Yeah, so you could always raise the price or
how are you going to get it?
Exactly. You know? Supply and demand. Right? And you're able to play to that. Yeah. And I'm sure that'll serve you well. You have the initiative to recognize that and be able to hatch that scheme. And I applaud you for being able to turn a profit, because Sundance is expensive.
With the Ubers,
oh my God.
Needed it all.
Yeah, you almost
every dollar.
Yeah. Probably all those tickets just paid off the Ubers that we needed. So we were able to touch on Sundance, kind of business, what led you into film. I'm curious to learn more about you. So how about you tell us some things people might not know about you, like fun facts?
Sure. So in high school, I played the upright bass, and I've actually been playing since I was 4. Awesome. I went to a charter school where, charter schools are always like a regular school, and then they do something that's special to them. That's what makes them, that they write it in the charter. And ours required like 2 hours of music a day. Okay. Yeah, it made the school day 9 hours. Damn. It was brutal. In the winter, I would leave school at like 5 and it was dark and I'd see the moon. Yeah. It's crazy. But it made me really good. I'd say I peaked as a musician probably in the 6th grade before I left my charter school and it wasn't required anymore. I played in when I was 12, I also did the New England Conservatory. Oh, wow. So that's an orchestra where I played with people who went to college for music, and I hated it.
Why'd you hate it?
Because my stand partners were like 20, and I was like 12. Couldn't really connect with anyone, but I played with a lot of great people from that. I was all-state bassist from the 7th grade to the 12th grade. So I was the best bassist in Mass for like a few years.
Oh, that's a fun fact.
It is fun.
That's the point.
Some schools even wanted me to go to school for bass or email me about that. But I was never going to be a music major. But I turned in my upright bass. I don't rent one anymore. That's what most people who have I guess acoustic instruments do, unless you buy one that's really expensive. So I bought a bass guitar and it's in my room actually, and I still play, but it's not for anything. It's just a hobby now. Yeah. But I never want to lose it.
Definitely. Yeah. Do you think that served you well, playing music as you've just ventured into life?
I feel like I'll learn how it did more as I continue to do more things. A specific way it's helped me right now, I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah, because I know it's always like just like studies that like playing instruments just makes you smarter, heightens your IQ, and I'm sure like being able to play bass and then also just do something artistic too as you like ventured into film, I'm sure really, really helped you. Now I'm curious to ask you, what's one thing you love and one thing you strongly dislike?
Ooh, one thing I love, Boston college football.
Yeah.
Can't believe we didn't talk about that yet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, I think in one of our first conversations ever, in that hot tub, we immediately talked about college football and NIL and that landscape.
In that hot tub?
Yeah.
Yeah, in that hot tub.
Yeah, so that unlocks another like core Sundance memory.
Yes.
First thing we did when we got, at Sundance, our group has like a house that we all live in, like an Airbnb, and there's a hot tub. So first thing we did was you, myself, and Nick Bonanno, we went and we jumped in the hot tub and we started chopping it up. Yeah. And then you started, and that's when you told me about
And we brought up something on NIL.
Yeah.
I love BC football. My family's been season ticket holders since as long as I can remember. I've been going to the games for years. I go back at least one a season. And I have two friends now who went to this music charter school with me that are on the team. And I can say that I had a pick six off of wide receiver Jaden Skeet in recess football when I was like in 5th grade.
Really?
Yeah. My friends from elementary school, Jaden Skeet and Max Tucker, both went to the same high school as well, and we're back-to-back Mass state champions at football. And then both went to go play BC, and I think they're still roommates. Yeah. Jaden also played bass with me. He was my stand partner as well. And he's very good still. His father's like a professor at Berkeley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's like from a very musical family as well as being a great football player.
Interesting. So there's that connection.
Yeah,
from
there's
music
connection,
to
but
football.
even before them, I still loved it as much as I do now.
Yeah.
On the topic of one thing I dislike. NHL hockey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a wild one, yeah.
Do we have opinions about that?
I mean, I'm an NHL guy. I like hockey.
Yeah.
Did hockey for most of my life.
I was never a huge hockey person. I like Quinnipiac hockey. I like, by extension, I've been to some BC games. They're very good. Quinnipiac's also very good.
I would say, because BC and Quinnipiac, those are two pretty big hockey schools.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. I would casually go to BC hockey before. I knew that they were like a top 3 consensus team, usually. But I never liked it like I liked BC football. And NHL never really spoke to me. It took a while for the Boston winter sports to speak to me. I'm a Celtics guy now, casually. Yeah. Starting to get into the NFL a little bit more. And always a huge Red Sox fan. It's probably my favorite sports team there is.
Yeah, we've never heard a sports league for that answer of something strong. Or sports,
One thing about it that really irks me, I don't think that places that can't produce snow naturally should have hockey. It's ridiculous that Florida was like, the champion?
Yeah, they won.
Yeah, Florida won. What's another good team that's like in a desert? Is Arizona good? That would suck.
Coyotes,
Vegas?
Yeah,
Golden
the
Knights?
Golden Knights. They won their.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's like
a few years ago.
If they ever did SEC hockey, I would hate that so much.
Yeah. That's interesting, just because it's like their climate doesn't.
I don't
really
like
reflect.
that Arizona State's very good at hockey. Yeah, that's so weird to me.
Yeah,
because they don't grow up with snow or cold. It's like it's a gritty, cold weather kind of sport.
Yeah, that should be for us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
They're stealing our culture.
Yeah. The culture vultures.
Yes, of course.
Stealing our hockey. Like we need something.
They didn't have to go through the hardships of living in a cold place.
You know what? I think we need to specify more. I think if you can't put down driveway salt, then you can.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If you haven't felt the pain of sticking your hand in like a cold ass thing of driveway salt.
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe no driveway salt, no hockey for you.
Yeah, that's
but I understand. Yeah, I understand. It's not everyone's thing.
That's a measuring stick. So one of your hopes is for warm weather states not to have hockey.
Yes.
Let me ask you, what are some of your hopes and dreams professionally or in general?
Ooh. Editing is something that's really interesting to me right now. As I'm learning for the next 2 years what I want to do in film.
Yeah.
And so getting an opportunity to edit something professionally is a goal, I'd say, right now.
So that's where you want to see yourself in the industry as an editor?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
That's super. And this could change. A year ago, I didn't think I'd be having this conversation right now or talking about any of this.
Mm.
But right now, yeah, editing.
Yeah.
Editing is what it is.
Yeah, you didn't even know who I was a year ago. So
I saw you. I saw the clips, but that was about it.
Yeah. So it's really funny how things can change, and it's very cool that you were able to like find yourself kind of in this. Like, what really draws you to editing?
It was something that I found to be really satisfying when I started editing simple projects in my SPS 106 class. So I'm in a film journalism class.
Yeah.
There's some light editing there, and I'm sure now it wouldn't take me the time it did. But just finishing a project, I don't even think I got a crazy high grade on any of any of the editing stuff in that class yet. But even learning it feels rewarding.
Interesting. And of course, you're wearing the sick Rick Dalton shirt.
Gotta represent.
Yeah, sponsored by Red Apple Cigarettes. Let me ask you, what are some of your favorite movies?
So my favorite movie, this is a bit more up for debate now, is Seven. Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
It's my favorite director, David Fincher.
Oh.
And people consider that a classic of his. Yeah. Although he has a couple. So he has Seven, which has like the iconic "What's in the Box." And it's like the first standout Brad Pitt role. Yeah. Social Network, which is like a modern classic. A lot of people say that's the best of the decade. Gone Girl's fantastic. And Fight Club. How can you forget that?
Zodiac as well.
Zodiac is good.
Great catalog or great filmography, I should say.
Yeah. The Killer came out a year ago, and I watched it in my freshman dorm at Commons. Some people don't like that one, but I really do. So he's a great filmography.
Yeah.
So Seven's up there. Grand Budapest Hotel.
Awesome, yeah.
Always great. The Irishman is sort of getting up there. And then this movie called Babylon. Yeah. From Damien Chazelle, which we talked about. We had a dialogue about.
Yeah, because in the hot tub, in the hot tub time machine. And I know we spoke upon how kind of underappreciated we felt the film was.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of its scale, in terms of like kind of talking about Hollywood, but Damien Chazelle talking about Hollywood kind of in a different way from La La Land, maybe a more cynical way from La La Land. And that's something that always interested me.
People won't, this is kind of for my friends at home, people won't understand how that movie like sort of united a friend group of mine.
Interesting.
That we all came together, watched it when it was new and loved it. And then I guess, I don't know, since it didn't get the love we felt it deserved, we were like that more fans of it like that much more. Yeah. I'd say.
Yeah, and it was also just an incredible theater experience too.
Oh, 100,000%.
And just like this episode was an incredible experience, Oliver. So let me thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you guys at home for listening.
Of course. And do you have any motivational words or plugs or anything you just want to leave the audience with?
I didn't think I'd be here today. I didn't think I'd be doing what I would be doing now. I don't know, even 6 months ago. Yeah. But I don't think you can be in a place where you're not meant to. Everywhere where you are is where you want to be. Yeah. That's
very wise words and very inspiring words. And it's so cool that you were, like, college is just a time to explore. And you were able to go from something like business to something you're passionate about, film, and kind of merge all these interests. And it's always fun hanging around with you, always fun chopping it up. Yeah. And it was cool getting to meet you on Sundance. That's another great thing that trip does. Another great thing that trip does is just allowing you to meet new people. And I'm excited to see kind of what you do in film. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And as always, this is Ryan Ziaks of the Zicast, where everyone has a story. Signing off. Thank you so much for watching.